Hi there, I'm Cherie.
And I'm Chris, and we're known online as Technomadia.
And what you're about to watch is one of our live video chats. This is an archive of a live broadcast that was interactive with some of our viewers.
So this is not a produced thing. We don't use microphones. We don't do editing. We don't have a script in advance. So if you're looking for that, change the channel.
But what we do is every month is we pick a topic, we talk on about it, and we take questions. And it's a really fun way. If you'd like to join one of our future live video chats, you can do so. Go check it out at technomadia.com/video. And also check out the other videos in this playlist. We have a whole bunch of other topics that we've covered over the years.
Yeah,
so who are we?
Chris and Cherie, Technomadia.
And we've been on the road since 2006, traveling full-time via RV, presently in a vintage bus conversion, and we work remotely as we go. And we just like sharing a little slice of our lives. So here we go.
Nice.
Start at. So,
Okay.
good evening.
Hello, my name's Chris.
And I'm Cherie. You might know us as Technomadia, and we live in a bus.
Vintage bus, 1961, and we've been doing this for 10 years. Not video broadcasting for 10 years, but we've been living on the road for 10 years. And this is one of our great ways to share our experience with all the people out there.
Yeah, so these video chats they started a few years ago on a whim, and they've just been a lot of fun for us to do every month. We pick a topic and chat about it, and then take your questions. We do ask that if you have questions, you please hold them towards the end of our topic. I will cue you for those. And of course, if you're watching the archive and the date is not May 19th,
Yes.
You can't ask us live questions, but this will be on YouTube, and you can ask questions in the comments, and we'll be happy to address them as we have time.
But if it is May 19th, you're watching this live, and we really enjoy the interactivity and the questions and stuff, but do save them until the end.
And I do want to do a special thank you to Bob and Kathy, who are our neighbors here at our current campground, who discovered us here and agreed to come over and be our moderators for us. So they will be monitoring the chat room.
So we don't have to read the little screen.
Yes, and queuing up those questions. So when we are ready for them, we'll let you know to start queuing them up. In the meantime, we're going to let them also kind of be studio audience.
So what's the topic today?
Oh, we have a topic?
Yeah, I think it's a topic. It's not just general chat today. Let's talk about cats.
Cats.
No.
The topic is the RV lifestyle versus vacation mode. And this came up because we just came off kind of a semi-vacation. I mean, our life is kind of always blurry between vacation and non-vacation.
And that's actually kind of the core of this topic is people get very confused when you have RV full-timers. People don't know whether to treat you. Are you on vacation? Are you not on vacation? How does all this work? And there's a lot of misunderstandings, and then there's a lot of things living that life of how to bring that balance into it, because you're not following the simple basic formulas.
And when we were kind of talking about heading off for this recent vacation, we just did 3 weeks on a repositioning cruise up to Canada, and then spent some time in Montreal, and then took the train back down to Florida, which is where we're currently parked, which is kind of semi-vacation. We did take some days off, and we did work some days while we were up there. But as we were approaching it, we had people saying, well, I thought your life was a perpetual vacation.
Yeah, why are you going on a cruise? You're already on vacation. We're not on vacation, we work our butts off. It's like, it'd be nice to disconnect from the internet and not work for a day or two while we're cruising up the coast.
So we wanted to talk about how the RV lifestyle, when you're not doing it as a vacation. I mean, RVing is a great way to go camping, to get away. A lot of people do vacation in RVs. But those of us living long-term on the road, whether it's full-time, seasonal, whether you're retired, or whether you're working on the road like we are.
Even if you are retired, your life isn't a perpetual vacation.
So, first thing I wanted to talk about was, what are the similarities between the RV lifestyle and vacation? Obviously, we're traveling.
Yeah, your views can change. You get to go to new places.
When you think about vacation, it usually involves going someplace different than where you live. So a lot of people get confused because RVers are always in different locations, that we're always traveling, so that traveling is associated with the word vacation.
Right. And this is a huge, big, beautiful country. There is so much interesting, wonderful things to explore, and we have the opportunity to do that. That's why we're doing this lifestyle, I think, is it lets us bring so much of this diversity into our everyday life.
So that's something that we try to harness in our travels, is that we are in these new locations. We do have the opportunity to do vacation-y sort of things as part of our everyday life, But there are a lot of things that make this lifestyle not a vacation. And, one of them is, well, okay, we just got off a cruise. What's missing here in our bus? There is no Lido buffet.
No Lido. Nobody's making the bed. There's no little folded towel animals waiting for us or
Right,
chocolates in the pillow.
I thought the cat was...
She's not made of a towel.
Oh, oops.
We make her bed. That's how it works.
So, when you're living in an RV and it's your lifestyle, obviously it's not like staying in a hotel room or a cruise cabin. You have daily chores. You have to do your own dishes unless you happen to have someone who comes in and does your dishes for you. And if you would like that job, it is available. You can come in and do our dishes anytime you like.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
We're making your own bed. You've got to make, procure your own food.
It's got the regular life chores.
Yeah, it's every day on the life. It's whatever you do at home, you're also doing on the road because your RV is your home.
Yeah. And then if you are not retired, and whether you're working part-time or work camping or working still full-time, still pursuing a career of some sort, well, just because you're living in an RV doesn't mean you're not working. So that's quite a difference from the people who are in vacation mode.
Yeah, there's a lot of us that are pulling 40, 60-hour work weeks while living in these wonderful locations that you might see us post about on Instagram, but we're still pulling in full hours. We're still making our incomes. We've got to go and pay our bills and attend to everything that comes on in life.
Yeah.
And even if you're retired, you can't be in full-time vacation mode. You can't be constantly out doing museums and amusement parks and going and seeing scenic things. Some days you just want to sit at home and watch Netflix.
You need some downtime. Everybody needs downtime. And you cannot be in that turbo vacation mode all the time.
Well, you can.
Not unless you're 6 years old on like hyper nonstop caffeine with a Disney pass.
I think there's some of those out
they
there.
still take a nap. They still need a nap eventually. Everybody needs downtime, and actually, I think a lot of RVers, when they get started, they're kind of so hyped up and excited about living on the road, and they're trying to do it all, and they run out. They run out of energy, and they're like that 6-year-old at the end of the day at Disney. They're crashing like they need a nap. They're burnt out. They're overextended and exhausted.
We did that our first year.
Yeah, first year.
We got
Almost every RVer, at the end of their first year, they're like, just spread way too thin.
It's so tempting to want to go do everything. But, some of the things that you have to kind of moderate when you're living full time, and you got to resist this temptation to be in constant vacation mode, because it is so tempting to want to be going out and eating at all the cool new restaurants and the local restaurants, trying everything.
And do all the touristy things. And that gets expensive. Yeah,
so the budget,
like a tourist, yeah.
When I'm on vacation, it's like when we go see, Cirque du Soleil happened to be around the corner when we're in Montreal. We're like, well, you know what? We're on vacation. Yes, we'll go spend the $200 to get tickets for both of us for the night. I'm not doing that all the time on every day.
Night.
I can't do that every night. So you've got to watch your budget. You can't be eating out and eating. I can't eat at the Lido buffet every single day. That's just not good for our health.
Your food budget is, yes.
Your calorie budget. It doesn't work. Socializing is a temptation. I mean, we're introverts, but even extroverts can burn themselves out by over-socializing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you get out here on the road, with all these tools that are out to meet people in campgrounds and in new locations and new friends to make. It's very tempting to want to hang out and drink every night with your buddies, or have a campfire every night.
Perpetual happy hour.
Perpetual happy hours. Oh, sometimes I cringe when people invite us to happy hour these days. It's like, no, I can't have another day of drink. I gotta get work done.
Happy hour again? Wasn't it happy hour yesterday? But the thing that is really great about this lifestyle, though, is that once you get out of those swinging to the extremes, is that you get to have that intentional blurry line between, your life can be a bit of a perpetual vacation. Just don't go too far, and you can still have a real good, balanced, rich life too.
Yeah, and taking advantage of the opportunities. I mean, it's so easy when you're on the road. Is you might normally live in campgrounds that are in beautiful locations, or they might be like just the Stackham and Rackham sort of RV campgrounds.
Really tight.
But sometimes it's really easy to take a vacation, and go to one of these RV resorts, like the French Quarter RV Resort, which is right on the French Quarter in New Orleans, or going down to the Keys and being on the beach life. And you can just integrate in these 3-4 days excursions and kind of splurge on a fancier RV resort or somewhere in a location
exotic location, yeah.
And have this little semi-vacation and just take off, because your transportation's already covered because it was on your way anyway.
And actually, you know, when you're doing that, when you're staying in those fun, exotic places, that's when you really need to force yourself to actually enjoy them, because there's nothing worse than, like, you know, being parked near the French Quarter, paying, you know, $140 for a night,
working 6 hours,
and spend the entire day working, and you're like, why am I here? What's going on? So do actually allow yourself some time to actually switch entirely into vacation mode on occasion. Treat yourself.
Yeah, so some other tips on avoiding burnout by being in perpetual vacation mode is pacing yourself. I mean, we've talked about it before, it's so tempting to want to do a lot of miles, get to a lot of places, being in places. Our first year on the road, we did 13,000 miles in 7 months. We didn't stay any one location more than maybe 3 nights. It's exhausting to keep that sort of location, to get the driving in, to go explore your areas, meet up with people in your travels.
Hit all the check marks. Like, you go to someplace new and there's, like, you know, these are the must-do things. I know, it's so exciting, and you gotta, like, see all the vistas and take all the pictures and go to all the favorite must-do spots. After a year or two, you're like, you know, I'll be back here again. You know,
I won't, and that's okay.
Yeah, I don't need to see everything.
You gotta be okay with that, not seeing everything.
Yes.
You also have to know yourself enough to say, I need to sit this one out. Whether it's another hike, whether it's another museum or another national park, sometimes if you're feeling the burn, it's okay to say, I'm going to park somewhere else and take my downtime. Maybe I just need to read a book. Maybe I need to catch up on work. Maybe I need to do some binge on and stream to Netflix.
Maybe you'll intentionally seek out a really boring RV park in a dull location, and we've actually done that. It's like, I need to be away from the distractions and just have a day of TV.
And be sure to integrate in that daily life. Don't forget the cat needs to be fed. She doesn't let us forget that. You know, keeping up with, you know, keeping your house clean, you know, cooking healthy, nutritious meals for yourself, making the bed, doing your daily sort of things. It's, you know, keep some routines in there. Taking your downtime. We've stressed that a couple times already.
And, you know, one great way for balance that actually helps, even if you've got a really flexible job or you're working strange hours or whatnot, is to actually give yourself office hours just to put a little structure to enforce things.
You know, whether those are, you're actually working or that your office hours are the time that you use to correspond with friends and family, take care of the bill paying, routing for the next day, those sorts of things. And this has 2 sides to it. One is it forces you to get the work done because it can be distracting to be constantly in vacation mode. Right. And the other one is
for workaholics
like us, is to actually get off our butts and get out there doing stuff.
Yeah, it's like really we don't have to wait till the sun goes down to even begin to think about going out and doing something touristy.
We fail at this all the time.
Oh yeah.
All right. Our next section is how to deal with others in your life that think you're on perpetual vacation when you're not. And after this section, we will be going into the wine and then the Q&A. So go ahead and start queuing up your questions. If Bob and Kathy, you're ready to start writing down, they said go ahead. They're ready to take your questions. So they're going to be queuing them up if you want to start asking them.
But, oh my, it is so frustrating to have people be like, aren't you always on vacation? Wow, you got it so easy, and just that assumption.
You're so lucky.
Oh my God, so you're able to do this and vacation nonstop. And
no, the last time I went for a hike was 6 days ago. I've been sitting working.
And some of it's understandable because the assumption in people's heads when they first meet you is you're living in an RV and you're a full timer. Wow, you must be on nonstop vacation.
You
How
must
lucky
have a trust
are you?
fund.
You're so rich. And then of course, you know, the things that we tend to share on Facebook and into our public lives is we don't post pictures of our desk and say, God, I'm working. Well, okay, we do sometimes, but most of what we share online is, you know, here's the rainbow, here's the hike, here's the wonderful thing, and you're sharing all the exciting touristy things, so people get the wrong impression.
So, one tip, especially dealing with friends and family who are accusing you of being on perpetual vacation, is make sure you're also sharing some of the daily life stuff. Don't just share the rainbows and sunsets and beautiful hikes. Also share the filling up the gas tank, the getting the work done, the repairs, the maintenance, you know, the laundry. We sometimes will just post pictures of doing laundry because, you know, that's real life on the road too.
And just, yeah, and then you have to be understanding that you will have to keep explaining this over and over, and you can't be too defensive because not everybody has thought through the implications of living long term on the road. It can be really frustrating the 100th time you've heard somebody accuse you of being nonstop vacation, but for them it's the first time, and they've maybe never considered what it's really like to be a full timer on the road. So you've got to.
So one example I want to kind of bring in here is one of the very first times we met up with some friends who were friends when we had stationary lives, and they're on vacation, they're traveling out. I think we're passing through Las Vegas.
Yeah, oh yeah, we met.
This was years ago. So they're going on a 4-day vacation to Las Vegas. So we say, hey, we're passing through, we'll meet up with you there. So
cool.
Awesome, cool. And we get in town and they're like, okay, so
they have an agenda, a show every night, a dinner, a lunch, amusement park, and it was booked solid, and they expected us to be going with them, and we're like,
oh, wait a minute, we forgot to tell you that we're working while we're here.
Conference call. We've got some deliverables. We got this and this and this. Maybe we'll do 1 show and 2 dinners. How's that sound?
Yeah. So we just had to have a conversation with them and say, hey, look, we're not here to interrupt your vacation. We want you to have your full vacation.
But we can't be part of every piece of it.
We can't do everything with you. And that worked, and they really had to stop and think about it. It was our first time, also really having to consider
having that like culture clash suddenly.
And there's also the situation you go into a town, maybe your hometown, to visit family or friends, and there's one time like we found out someone had taken time off of their work to spend time with us. I'm like, you took 3 days off work? I can't take 3 days off work.
Yeah, like maybe if we coordinated this in advance, but that actually was a lot of really awkward pressure. It's like, okay, we came to visit you. We want to be temporary neighbors and hang out in the evenings when we're all both done our stuff. But now we've got this pressure of you've planned these tourist days and you took off work, and oh no, we're not on vacation. We want to be your neighbor, not your guest.
Lesson learned there is share when you're coming in town. Say, hey, look, I'm going to have office hours. I am going to be available Tuesday and Thursday evening. Let's go do something fun those nights. Or if you are able to take vacation mode and spend lots of time with people, let them know so that they can adjust their schedules too. So
and you might have a little balance. Like some days is we're going to do a long weekend with you. We'll do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we're going to be here for 4 more days, and those days are work days, and you might not even see us, and we just be your neighbor.
We also encounter it when we're caravanning with RVing friends of ours who are retired, who do have the flexibility to go out and do a lot of the museums and stuff like that. And we just have to say, hey, we love being your neighbor. Go out and do things without us. Don't expect us to be able to join you for everything. But they always have the invitation without the expectation. And that's always, it's just so sweet.
Just have those conversations and get clarity, because people make the wrong assumptions all the time.
So for those of us working on the road, and when you're dealing with business colleagues who are not mobile and don't necessarily understand, they assume that you're sipping back with your feet up in a hammock with a pina colada and not actually getting your work done.
Or sometimes you're working in a hammock with a pina colada and your laptop on.
And you are getting work done.
I have done that, but
we have done that.
It's okay. But that still works.
But always keep in mind that people's assumptions who aren't used to this lifestyle are that you're not really working. So go the extra mile to communicate with them, your deliverables, your status. Give them that extra feedback that you are working, and we always, whenever we take on a contract position, which we don't do very often anymore, is we always make sure that communication is there and that we're communicating the deliverables and if we're going to be behind schedule or on schedule. And that goes a long way to let them know, hey, we really are working really hard and we're going to meet the deadlines.
And then now, when you are living in an RV, you're going into places that you are often going to be surrounded by other people who are on vacation. They're there for a weekend or for a week or something like that. And you have to keep that in mind, that, you might have your work day and they're having their big weekend party or their big family reunion in the campsite next campsite over. And there's a little bit of culture clash sometimes, but just a lot of space for understanding. It's like you can't be frustrated with them for having a family reunion in a campground. Campgrounds
are a place for vacations, and sometimes you just have to. You might need to go seek somewhere else if you need quiet time. One of the reasons we do these video casts at night sometimes is just so that we know that people aren't going to be outside necessarily, being loud and you can't hear us.
And just when you meet your neighbors and they have that assumption that, oh my God, you're on vacation, so you got to set the assumptions with them. And again, have those conversations and say, hey, we're going to be working, and actually, yeah, we have office hours. We actually made a sign to hang on our door, so like, don't knock, please. We would love to meet our neighbors. We love to meet neighbors when we visit new campgrounds and places. We meet amazing people via serendipity, but like certain times a day, don't come and knocking on the door, please. And
right, and then you're also going to get weird looks sometimes when you're in these beautiful locations. Maybe you're at the Grand Canyon, maybe you're at Zion, you are going out and doing some hiking and getting out and exploring, but then people see you sitting around on your laptop working, and they're like,
some people give you really dirty looks and tisk and like, how dare you work on vacation? And I mean, we've had people say, what are you doing working on vacation? How dare you? Like, that's ridiculous. And like, not on vacation. I just happen to have my view this week be the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, so we shift our perspective to is like how wonderful it is that we're able to combine work and being in these wonderful locations. And then then it usually turns to a little bit of envy on other people's part sometimes, and then people just come back with, well, I'm retired and I'm happy for that. Well, that's great. We'll get there one day too.
Yep.
All right, it is time for some wine. I see there's a whole list of questions over there.
Oh my goodness. This is the Lana wine?
Tonight's wine is from a winery in the hill country of Texas. This is one of my favorites that I've enjoyed for many, many years. It's their Meritage, which is a blend. And so that's what we're going to be having this evening.
Okay.
As a reminder, we do these video chats as our gift to you. And we do enjoy wine. And if you would like to help us, if you would love to ensure that we don't run out of wine, we do have a leave a tip button on the bottom of every page of technomadia.com, which is our blog. And if you feel so inspired to send us a little virtual thank you, we do appreciate it. It's never expected. That's not why we do these.
But it is very appreciated.
It is very appreciated, and we also do appreciate your words of gratitude, whether it's comments to this chat, it's to the YouTube archive, it's to our blog, Facebook page, or anywhere else you might feel inclined to write us and just say thanks. It really does go a long way to keep us inspired to come back next month and do this again. So, we're pouring the wine.
Mm-hmm. And the rain is starting, so if there's audio issues,
it's not our fault.
Right here, treat for you. So, Bob and Kathy, there's a little bit for you guys. Thank you guys for being our moderators. And
thank you for inviting us.
Now, we are going to clink your direction here.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
If you're joining in with the wine with us this evening, or your favorite tasty beverage, thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
It is so nice to have a live audience like this, just because it helps us not focus on the screen. So now,
all right, do we have any questions?
I imagine that we've had 200 people tuned in.
We have a lot of questions.
Questions.
All right, number one. Pete would like to know, how many hours a day or a week do you work?
How many hours a day
It depends on the day and the week.
We do try to mix them up.
We are the kind of people who like to work really intensely and then try not to work much. So we go very bursty.
So when we're in work mode, we're probably working 60, 80-hour weeks easily.
Yeah, and yeah, like when we're writing the book or doing a big project and stuff, we're trying to bring more balance into our life. We're working on it. But yeah.
And then when we're in not work mode, like we're not on a major project or putting out a major article, then we're probably doing maybe 2 or 3 hours a day of checking in on things. But it varies quite a bit, and that's the way we like it.
And when we did our cruise, we actually managed a couple days with nothing, which was really nice. And we're all going to have to talk up because the rain is starting, so apologies for the rain.
We're in a metal can, and there's rain coming down, so...
Okay, next question.
All right. I have a couple of comments, actually. Cherie, your hair looks very nice tonight.
Oh, thank you.
By Blue Moon Explorers.
Okay.
Thought I would let you know that. R.L. Cross wants to know, shouldn't you be saying A more since your trip?
Our Canadian experience,
yes.
Well, it was French Canada, too, so I don't know. Is there a way to Frenchify the A? Oi?
I don't know.
Oi?
Yeah,
I don't know, actually. A?
Okay. Joe would like to know, how many times a month do you empty your tanks and fill up, and how big are your tanks?
Okay.
We can almost go a month without emptying, which is wonderful.
So our fresh water is 112
Yeah, about that.
Our gray is 120 and our black is 70. And those were the new tanks that were put in last summer when we went on vacation and left our bus for renovations. Anyone else want to slap our hands for doing that? Yeah.
But we are very happy with the tank size upgrades, because now we really don't even have to stress about dumping our tanks. We still need to top off the fresh water fairly regularly, but we can almost go a
right.
basic
So like
month.
on this cross-country trip that we just did from Arizona to here to Florida, we did over 6 weeks. We only had to dump the tanks twice during that, which allowed us to float between a lot of state parks where there's not full hookups. So we would just top up the fresh water, and there's only needed to find like a dump station twice in the whole trip, which was wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, next. Lori is a social media manager, and she's thinking of working on the road, and wanted to know, do you purposely seek out quiet locations when you need to hunker down and work?
Yes. Oh, yeah. We do try to find quiet spots sometimes.
Yeah, when we need to get a work project done, we try to have a minimal of. We try to find a beautiful location with quick, easy, local distractions. We love hiking, hiking, and things like that.
Our ideal place to work is someplace that is quiet with really great hikes right out our front door.
But with a minimal of social stuff. So you'll see us kind of not disclose where we're at, so we have less people gonna try to be there. We try to pick a place where there's not a lot of people. Like when we wrote our book over this winter, we found a great boondocking spot. We only invited one special friend to come out with us, and
Who was also writing a book.
And we just went and enjoyed hikes and geocaching together as breaks that were easy to do without a lot of fuss to get to.
Yep.
And then we're able to just really focus on the project.
And other times we've had projects where we knew we needed a lot of data access. We'd get a longer term spot at a mobile home park and get a cable modem and seal up the world and focus that way. So finding ways to focus is kind of key for big projects.
Okay, very good. Joe would like to know, what do you do with your cat when you're driving?
She sits on my lap.
she's the laptop stand for Cherie. The balances.
Yeah, so the
laptop on
cat
top.
sits on my lap, and then my laptop sits on top of the cat. It works well.
It does.
All right, Becca says, would you please talk about how to end a relationship with someone who you don't want to travel with?
Just drive off in the middle of the night.
That used to be her biggest fear.
Oh, are you talking about like a caravan partner or someone who's actually physically living in your RV?
Wow. We have some friends who actually just had a really beautiful breakup. They actually bought a second RV and they each went their separate directions. And they did it really well. They decided they both wanted to be RVers and continue traveling, but they didn't want to do it together. And they had a great breakup. But just like any breakup, good communication is probably the most important thing.
Right, communication. I mean, even if you're talking about a caravan partner, so someone who's living in their own RV and they've just been kind of following you from location to location without necessarily talking about it, we always just talk with our caravan partners and like, hey, we're together for as long as it makes sense. We're all doing our same thing, and if you're in that sticky situation where they're just kind of clinging to you, it might be time to find out what their future plans are and make others. But I always am on the side of clear, direct, honest communication.
Or sneaking away in the middle of the night and not telling where you're going. That's if you have to. Your house has wheels. If you have really strange stalkers, your house has wheels and use them.
Don't check in on our village when you're reaching the location of it.
All right. David would like to know, during your first year, what was the trigger that made you realize you need to tone down the vacation mode?
Exhaustion, burnout. Wow, yeah, that's thinking back a long time. I mean, it was. Oh well, and actually the spin out was part of that too.
Well, I mean, our second week on the road, we were
together,
we were in a Jeep and pulling a small trailer.
And we were rushing to get to her brother's farm.
We didn't actually change anything at that point, but
it started to be the focus.
That was that kind of was a set off for it. We were in a major rainstorm and we pushed through to get to whatever our next commitment was, and we hydroplaned and did a 360 spin out down the interstate.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of where we invented we're traveling on nomadic standard time. We're not committing to schedules to people, not specific schedules. We're going to be there when we're going to be there. We've got a target, but we're not going to drive unsafely. We're not going to push hard.
But it took us, I mean, because we continued to travel for 7 more months after that. And we
Which
got
is a
back,
year.
you know, we went around the country and we ended up back here in Florida where I still owned a home I needed to get rid of. And, you know, we got back at, I needed major surgery at that time. So we were still for like 4 months while I was recovering from that. And then I managed to get the house sold and we commissioned the second trailer. And we repeated the mistakes again and went way too fast. I think we slowed it down to 11,000 miles that year. And, you know, we got parked in one place for a while. And we're like, this feels really good, but I don't like being still in a small space, like, because this is a 17-foot travel trailer. Yeah. And so that's when we parked it and moved to the Virgin Islands for a while.
And having that long intentional break in the Virgin Islands helped us break our habit of being too fast, I think. But the big problem is the country's too big, and we keep getting excited by something. Oh, we're on this coast, and now we're on this coast, and you know, there's no quick way back and forth. The wormholes are not functioning yet. Hey.
Very good. Mark would like to know, do you ever have family or friends that fly out to your current location and stay with you in your bus?
Not very often. We have had my brother come out and stay with us on the couch.
Your mom stayed in a hotel, but she didn't stay in the bus.
Yeah. Our bus isn't great for long-term guests. It's, you know, we don't have slides. We do have this couch to just come out to a nice bed. It's okay for a night or two. We had to sleep on it the other night when we gave up the mattress.
But yeah, so it's something that probably will happen more now that we've got a more comfortable bed. But it's not. We're not really designed to host for a longer period of time. But
yeah, we have had friends join us in the bus for short periods of time. We've even had someone travel with us in one of the small trailers. It's okay for a couple days. We're much more private people, and I really don't like people in my space for days and days at a time.
Yeah.
But you know, in a larger RV, it's definitely more comfortable. We know lots of people who do it.
Yeah,
So.
but we have had friends come out and stay in a hotel and stay and visit the same town we're in, and then we get to, you know, particularly when we set aside the time, like you're on vacation, we'll go on vacation too. We'll have some time being tourists together in this cool place. We really enjoy that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Hey.
Okay, DK Renning. How far in advance do you plan where, and how long will you be, or is it wake up and just go?
So back to planning. So actually we did a video 2 months ago on planning a day's drive that kind of covered the topic of how far in advance we plan and do we just wake up and go. And we do a combination. We try not to commit to too many things in a year just because we don't like having the commitments.
Yeah. But right now we have no specific plan of how we're heading north from here and how long we're going to take to do it and stuff like that. So
yeah, our next commitment, we've signed up to attend the Escapade in Vermont at the end of July. And we're just going to wing it getting up there. We have absolutely no stops planned along the way.
We do know Florida is getting really hot and humid, and so getting north, getting out of the heat and humidity is a strong driving factor, and go north. And,
yeah, but we typically don't know where we're going to be more than a week or two out.
Yes, and we like that.
We might have some big goals, like we already know we're coming back to Florida at the end of the year because we booked another cruise with my mom. And we know that we're probably going to winter in Florida, but beyond that, we haven't narrowed it down. I kind of think of it as tracking a hurricane, since we're coming into hurricane season here. You guys are familiar with this like I am. You know, a week or two out, the hurricane path is way out, and as you get closer in, it gets more specified. That's kind of how we consider our nomadic tracking.
Very good. Very good.
You got many questions queued up here?
Yes. Okay. Lori wants to know, how do you store your wine in the Zephyr?
Store it.
So we do have a wine rack that holds, I think, 8 bottles, and then we've got six upstairs,
Inside.
and then we've got a downstairs, just a case of wine that we just cycle in.
But we try not to store too much because we don't want to worry about the heat, bottle shock, things like that. So we typically only have enough wine on board for like what we might drink in
the next week or so.
So storing isn't really much of an issue. Now this bottle, obviously, we've been carrying it
since Texas,
since middle of March. So
and it's quite delicious.
Yes, it's one of my favorites. This is our last bottle of it.
Okay. RVer TV would like to know, what camera are you using to broadcast?
This is an iPad.
This is an iPad 2, iPad Mini 2 Retina, using the Livestream app over T-Mobile, and we've got mega bandwidth right now.
Yes, so if you're watching it live, this is over an iPad, and we're actually taking the archive off of an iPhone 6S.
Yes,
So
we've got them kind of clamped together, so you got the 2 cameras
yeah,
going.
if you're viewing this on YouTube, you're seeing the one off the iPhone. And so yeah, we're not fancy camera people. We're authors who know how to use the video mode
Yes.
on our cameras, on our phones.
Okay, have a good one here. This is from Nicole. Briefly, she says she's going to be full-timing in the near future and working on the road. But her real main concern is leaving her dog and cat in the RV when she needs to go to work. Do you have any advice about leaving your pets in the RV?
I mean, if you're going to be, so leaving pets in an RV when you need to be away from the RV. Kiki stays in the RV when we're away. We always make sure that it's comfortable inside. And if it's too warm or too hot outside, we make sure that we've made accommodations
Leave the air conditioner on and
for
stuff.
electricity or air conditioning.
Sometimes actually we set up a remote camera watching this temperature sensor behind us, so we can keep track of the temperature if we're away. I've got plans to do more automated alerts and stuff like that, but it's nice to be able to put the camera and say, okay, it's still 75 degrees, no big deal.
I mean, right now we just leave an internet connection going. We have an old iPhone that we aim at that, and we can just remote into it through an app called Presence.
Yes.
And then we can just check on the temperature and make sure everything's... We can also remote into our battery power system and make sure that the power's still going and the air conditioner's
and
going.
I can even start the generator remotely from my phone. So.
But that might be a little higher tech than most people go for. But generally, yeah, as long as you have electric hookups, or if you're in some place that's temperate, then you're probably okay.
And RVs aren't like cars. They don't heat up with that greenhouse effect nearly as fast.
As quickly, yeah.
And so often, just with the regular roof vents, unless it's super hot outside, an
Do you
RV will
guys
stay.
have pets in your RV?
We have a dog.
Okay, so this is great. So,
Yes.
so Bob and
Kathy.
Kathy, they are working away from their RV presently,
Yes.
and they have a dog. So you picked a spot with shade to help.
Yes. Yes, we did. She, at the moment, though, is staying with my daughter.
Okay.
So that's what she does.
So
That's one trick,
cheating,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
yes, eventually she will be staying. Well, we're
We know some people who, if you're going to be working in one location, they get to know their neighbors, and you might find that someone in your campground is maybe retired and would love to have a pet but not of their own, or wants to come in and check on your pet. You might be able to hire them or barter with them or something like that to come in and check on your furry friends and make sure they're okay, maybe take them for a walk
But that
and things like that.
is definitely a concern, and there's some interesting technology that for like just remote sensing that is starting to come around. That'll be great remote pet monitor type stuff.
Alrighty. We have a question from Bug Wubber.
Bug Wubber.
Wubber.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you try and work outside, and do the computers deal well with the dust?
Okay, do we try to work outside?
Dust is not a problem.
All right,
but
so there's wonderful fantasy of sitting outside on a picnic table or a chair with your laptop. There's several things that kind of break reality with this. Is number one, the sun is bright, and usually it makes it hard to see on a screen. Bugs, like the ones that get in your eyes and get on your screen and smush. Leaves drop from trees.
But it depends on the work and depends on the conditions and stuff. The kind of work I like to do outside is if I've got a lot of research to do, I'll love to just take an iPad and go out and do some reading and research and stuff like that. And if it's not too bright and sunny, or I can find a nice spot to shade, that sort of work is really great. Bringing your laptop outside and doing the picnic table thing, we've done it.
Oh,
It's
it
usually
hurt,
not
it hurts
great.
your back
Yeah,
too.
it's usually not the most ergonomic seats
Yeah,
on the
we
picnic table.
have rolling office chairs in our bus.
Yeah.
I actually switched to an iMac as my primary machine.
Not so portable anymore.
It's not portable. I do most of my work at the desk. I do have a laptop that I can take and do minor stuff. I might occasionally, but more often than not, I like to look at the view than be outside, unless it's really nice out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll go outside and enjoy the view by hiking and not working in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty. Joe would like to know, do you guys plan on sailing like the winds?
We've been talking about boats since before the winds were RVing, and
It is a possibility, and
yeah.
it will not be because we're following the wind.
yes, yeah, we've been researching boats and dabbling into boat
Yeah,
ideas for a
about
very
the
long time.
time they started RVing, actually a year after year before they started RVing, we were actually shopping for a catamaran to go full-timing in. So, and we nixed the idea at the time because we just didn't see how it was feasible to, at the time I had very mission critical career stuff, and we didn't see it was feasible to boat and keep on top of our
And then we
careers.
fell in love with doing bus stuff. But
Yep.
yeah, we've always had boating as a goal of ours of various sorts. We're not going to give up the bus, but boats could be mixed into our life in the future.
Alrighty. Mark says, is the couch where you hang out for the most part when you're hanging out inside the bus?
That's where we watch. So directly across from us is our pull-down projector screen. This is our projector up
Just above
here.
out of frame is our video projector. So we've got
We do all, so that the projector screen pulls down there, and so we do all of our
and the couch folds flat, and
movies
then we
and stuff like
cuddle
that.
up and watch movies, and we've had people over for movie nights and stuff.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll actually curl up on the couch and work on my iPad or laptop, sometimes just to mix it up. But a lot of times, so off over that way is our desk, and that's
We each have office chairs.
we
and that's-
actually spend most of our time at our desk.
Yeah.
Okay. Harry would like to know, how do you work exercise into your RV lifestyle?
Walking is our number one.
We do a lot of walking and hiking. I didn't even take off my Fitbit. We both have, he has the Apple Watch, I have a Fitbit.
Apple Watch,
I have a
tracks.
goal of doing 10,000, 12,000 steps a day. This heat and rain is kind of putting a damper on that. But we also do kayaking.
We've been into running, haven't gotten
And then we
back
just
into it.
got folding bicycles. So
Yes.
we have folding electric bicycles that we integrate into. We try to get out several
We
miles
had some
a
really
week.
fun mountain biking not
Yep.
too long ago. That was a real
Yep.
blast.
Okay, Becca has responded to you when we were talking about the ending a relationship.
Okay.
So she says she's looking for relationship advice for long distance when partner disapproves of you traveling.
Oh, that is tough.
Not
we-
something I've experienced with.
We've known people who have, and that sometimes they come up with an arrangement where we've met people who the one partner travels 6 months and then spends 6 months at home, or 6 months with the partner that doesn't want to travel. But every relationship's got to find their own balance.
Yeah, it's you got to find the balance with that.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got different wanderlust levels, it's, are you going to have an open relationship where you both have other relationships on the road, or are you going to be monogamous and try to bridge the long distance and the yearning for each other, or are you going to just decide that you're just not on the same path right now?
We know people who make it work in long distance forms, and we know people who try and fail, and we know people who just say, that's not really we're not meant to be, and they just move on. And
you really you need to talk with
everyone's going to be different.
talk with those involved and come to the solution that's going to bring the most happiness to everybody.
Okay, I see one last question from Lori.
Okay.
Oh, maybe we got another one. But
Okay.
what was the wording on your "We're working" sign?
I couldn't actually find the sign. It
Yes.
got stuck up in storage somewhere. It says
Nomads
working or sleeping. Please do not disturb nomads working
Yes.
or sleeping.
Yes. Nomads work. Yes.
Very good. Okay, Jimmy would like to know, how do you get work? Do people find you, or do you do a lot of soliciting? Do you solicit
I
heavily?
have never in my career solicited for work.
Yeah, it usually finds us.
I've been a self-employed contractor since I was 19, and I've been a software developer, and most of my clients have always come from word of mouth. Since we've been Technomadia and doing mobile app development, tech advising, and career, usually it's people coming to us and trying to convince us to work for them.
Yes.
We're in a phase right now where we're saying no to all contract.
We're just working for ourselves now.
Right now, we've created our mobile apps for running the RV Mobile Internet Resource Center, our book. So those are our primary income sources right now. We kind of created our own jobs, and that's what we're focusing on right now, and trying to avoid work burnout by taking on other
And
offers, even though we've had some pretty awesome, inspiring ones.
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, there we go. Well, thank you guys. We really appreciate it. All roughly 200 of you coming into our living room for the night on this rainy, humid Florida night. We're going to go run the air conditioner for a while now, and have some more wine.
Yes. So thank you for joining us.
And cheers.